Now, newsman Dennis Dillon presents his unique look at current events in another of his wide-ranging daily video blogs.
Hi, and thanks again, everybody. And yes, that is a very young Orson Welles directing the Mercury Theater on the air in the War of the Worlds, 75 years ago tonight. The War of the Worlds was just another one of the adaptations of famous books the Mercury Theater was doing that year. The week before, they had dramatized the Pickwick Papers, and they announced that the War of the Worlds would be next week. Leroy Bannerman was a professor of mine at Indiana University and was one of the nation's best experts on old-time radio. I sat down with him once to talk about the War of the Worlds, and I asked him, first of all, why did the writer, the great Howard Koch, pick New Jersey as the place the Martians would land?
Oh, that's quite a story. He was coming back from visiting his parents in Kingston, New York, and he was driving on the New Jersey side of the Hudson River. He stopped in at a service station to get gas, and he picked up a road map, and it happened to be a map of New Jersey, and so he unfolded this map, closed his eyes, and put his pencil down, and it landed on a little dot that was Grover's Mill, New Jersey.
It is reported that at 8:50 p.m., a huge flaming object, believed to be a meteorite, fell on a farm in the neighborhood of Grover's Mill, New Jersey, 22 miles from Trenton. The flash in the sky was visible within a radius of several hundred miles.
He was trying to decide where the Martians should land. And this seemed a good idea because Princeton University was not too far away, and Princeton had to figure a big university or observatory had to figure into it because one of the key roles in this drama is Dr. Pearson, an astronomer, who is played by Orson Welles.
Professor Pearson?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us the meaning of that scraping noise inside the thing?
It's possibly the unequal cooling of its surface.
I see. Do you still think it's a meteor, Professor?
I don't know what to think. The metal casing is definitely extraterrestrial.
And if you heard the show 75 years ago tonight, you knew it was a dramatization. They said that at the start.
On NBC, opposite the Mercury Theater of the Air, was the top program of the day, which happened to be Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy. When a new and not-so-popular singer was introduced, then they began to engage in that old American pastime of dial twisting, see what was going on other stations, and that's when they came across a crisis at Grover's Mill.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt our program of dance music to bring you a special bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News. At 20 minutes before 8 Central Time, Professor Farrell of the Mount Jennings Observatory, Chicago, Illinois, reports observing several explosions of incandescent gas occurring at regular intervals on the planet Mars.
And for those tuning in late, hearing the bulletin sounded all too real, for there had been a lot of bulletin reports on radio in 1938 because of the impending war in Europe. Then the Secretary of the Interior spoke, and the actor sounded a lot like FDR.
Citizens of the nation, I shall not try to conceal the gravity of the situation that confronts the country, nor the concern of your government in protecting the lives and property of its people.
And when we talk about the War of the Worlds done 75 years ago tonight, quite often we forget to talk about one thing, and that was how damn good the acting was. People would not have panicked had the Orson Welles Mercury players not been as good as they were. And when the real panic happened,
the climactic moments of the play is when Carl Phillips is the radio reporter, and he is reporting directly from the site where the Martians landed. And suddenly the Martians emerge from their machines, and he tries to describe how hideous they looked, and suddenly they start spouting out flames and with a ray gun and the like, and people start screaming, and he suddenly cut off the air. And then there's that long pause,
Ladies and gentlemen, due to circumstances beyond our control, we are unable to continue the
And then the
broadcast
announcer
from
comes
Grover's
in and
Mill.
says,
Evidently, there's
due to
some
conditions
difficulty with our
beyond our
field
control
transmission.
type of
However,
thing, you see.
we will return to that point at the earliest opportunity.
So this
In the
created
meantime, we
a
have
sense of
wait for-
realism about this radio broadcasting part of it, you see.
And so the legacy of the War of the Worlds broadcast is really the legacy of old-time radio, the theater of the mind, talented people enlarging our imaginations.
So goodbye, everybody, and remember, please, for the next day or so, the terrible lesson you learned tonight. That grinning, glowing, globular invader of your living room is an inhabitant of the pumpkin patch, and if your doorbell rings and nobody's there, that was no Martian. It's Halloween.
75 years ago tonight, on the eve of Halloween, Orson Welles scaring the pants off everybody. I'm Dennis Staley with your daily news update.